Here I will be drawing my story of how I raised axolotls in a Draw My Life form. My senior year, I went back to visit my favorite science teacher, Miss P, who raised axolotls as well as many other things. Axolotls are basically aquatic salamanders, but are also known as Mexican walking fish. She had 2 of them. I'm not really sure what their names are, but they were really cool, and I wanted to make sure that I went back before I graduated to see them. I'm really glad I did. When I got to her classroom full of students I wasn't expecting, she stopped teaching and yelled, "The axolotls laid eggs! You have to come over and see them!" Of course, I was really surprised by this because I thought both of her axolotls were males. Clearly, they weren't. All of the kids in her class looked at us like we were crazy. I don't know what was going through their heads, but all their jaws were dropped. But I didn't care. I was looking at all the eggs as something I had become so entranced by throughout the year. When we walked up to the tank, you could see all the eggs laced into the plants and laying in the sand. Axolotl eggs are clear, so it was really cool to see all the babies inside. Unfortunately, Miss P said she wasn't going to raise the eggs because it was too time-consuming and hard while being a teacher. After she said this, you could see she got an idea. That's when she told me I could take the eggs home and raise them myself. Immediately, my brain said, "This woman is crazy." But then, I thought again, and I decided I would go home and think about it. When I got home, I did a lot of research, and I asked myself questions like how to care for axolotls and what to feed a juvenile axolotl. I came up with some really solid answers, and that's really what made my decision to bring the axolotls home. The next day I went to the pet store to get everything that I would need. Things like a tank, a net, water conditioner, a filter, and I can't lie, while I was there, I also looked at the other animals in the store. When I came back to check on the eggs, Miss P looked kinda sad. She said she had also done some research and she couldn't tell if the eggs were fertilized or not, and said that they might not hatch. When axolotl eggs are first laid, they're clear with little white balls on the inside. If those little balls start to look like rice after a few days, then the eggs are fertilized, and our eggs hadn't started changing yet. I was crushed. I'd felt that I'd worked hard and made a pretty big decision that was now for nothing. After getting all the things I needed, I was really starting to get excited, and to hear this news just really bummed me out. Three days later, I came back to check on the eggs. I would have come back sooner, but it was a 3-day weekend that week. When I came back, Miss P didn't say anything. She just looked at me, and I ran back to the tank expecting bad news. But then I saw those little balls had started changing into what looked like little grains of rice. I was so excited. The very next day, my boyfriend Patrick came to my school to help me take the axolotls home. I was really nervous about taking them home by myself and requested some backup. He was really excited to help anyway, because this wasn't just an amazing experience for me, it was for him too. When we got to the car, the inside was hot since it was sitting in the sun all day. Patrick ran to the driver's side and turned the air on full blast. For someone like me, it was freezing, but that was good for the axolotls who needed to be kept cold. We started driving and hoped we wouldn't hit any traffic. Unfortunately, this did not happen. We turned our 20-minute drive into a 40-minute drive. When we finally made it back to my house, I basically ran inside to get the axolotls into the 10-gallon tank I'd bought at the pet store. Even before I took the eggs home, I'd started to grow their food. In order to grow their food properly, I made a contraption out of 2 2-liter bottles and some duct tape. Brine shrimp need very little things to grow well, and I had to get the babies fed after they were born. It didn't take long to make, it just made my room look like a science experiment. After the eggs hatched, I was looking into the bottles where their food was growing and couldn't see any food. I started getting really nervous because the babies would start to die of starvation after just 72 hours of not eating. My mom could see I was getting worried and went to the pet store to get some frozen brine shrimp for the babies to eat. I appreciated her gesture. The only problem was that the babies were too small to eat the fully grown brine shrimp and needed what I was growing in the bottles. The very next day, I checked on their food again and I could see all the brine shrimp swimming around. I was so relieved and fed the babies immediately. I'm sure they were thankful too. Overall, this experience was hard, and I don't think I would ever do it again, but it brought me closer to Patrick, and I definitely would not change it for the world. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and maybe you too can experience something like I did.